it might collapse on you. So we help new investors out. We'll look at your homes, tell you what's wrong with it. We'll help more seasoned investors out, where we'll present what's wrong with the home in a way that you can then take it back to the seller and actually show them how bad their home is, and you can beat them up over price. We also help with permitting, and if you get caught by the city and red tagged, we can help you through the permitting process to get plans, but I highly recommend you pull your plans to begin with. I used to host the Brandon subgroup, so I'm always trained myself to promote the Brandon subgroup here. So make sure you attend the Brandon subgroup. They meet on the first Monday? Okay, first Monday of the month over at O'Brien's. Still highly recommended. I no longer host the group, still recommend it, still promote it. Anyway, my phone number is no, I got cards. I'm just gonna pass it. Gotcha, you get a card. And you get a card. So I'm Leo with Barrel Engineering and Inspection. Protect what matters most, your family.
All right. I won't come into your properties and tell you how poorly designed they are or anything like that, because I have no business doing that. My name is Natalia Willett-Grice, and I am the owner of LCO Law. We help real estate investors like you create, grow, and protect your business. And how do we do that? We do that with business planning and succession planning and teaching you how to implement systems into your business, and estate planning, so that when something happens to you, because it will, your family's taken care of and your business is taken care of. I did want to bring up an announcement in terms of something that might be helpful for you. So I recently attended the Women of Influence conference. It had all of the community district development managers of the Tampa Bay area. So Pinellas County, City of Clearwater, City of St. Pete, they were all there. They were all talking about all of the industries that want to come into Tampa Bay, and this is an opportunity for you, being in the real estate market, understanding who you should market yourselves to, and the land pieces and the land available to, right? Tech, right? Tech and finance, huge. They are coming to us not only from the Midwestern states, they're now coming to us from California, from Oregon, from Canada. So commercial expansion is huge. Think about it and reach out to the community development directors around you to see, hey, what part of your city would help, this particular entity that you're trying to attract, right? Always think bigger, think beyond just, house and house, think commercial as well. All right, that's all.
Hello, I'm Rob DeJory, branch manager for Guild Mortgage. I'm also recently a subgroup host for the South Tampa chapter of TBREIA, Jeremy. So I'm an expert in residential lending. I help people buy and refinance homes through conventional lending. That would be your FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans. I also have some brokered products that we can help you with on the investor side. And yeah, I'm also a part-time investor myself. I have some buy and hold properties, an Airbnb. I've just learned a ton from this group through Greg, Jeremy, and just attending the meetings. So can be consistent, keep coming to the meetings. There's always different speakers and different topics. So these are some great guys up here. So we're going to learn a lot tonight. I'm excited.
Good evening, everybody. Full disclosure, I'm just a warm-up act for Ralph Zeller, who's going to do a full rendition of Figaro in falsetto. Mac McWhorter with Worldwide Trustee Services, helping people build wealth, maintain privacy, and avoid probate since 2008. We can be your trustee for land trust if you're holding property, personal property trust if it moves around, has sharp edges, or goes bang, and if you have some lazy money in your IRA, you can bring it out to a trust vehicle, save you a lot of ding fees with your transactions with your administrator, and build your wealth that way. And if you can build the empire, we'll help you keep it. 813-690-6678. I have a table over here with literature and cards, and come on over and talk. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Ken Wozniak. I am here on behalf of Sundial Title. I'm a co-owner in Sundial Title. We can help you with all of your title work services, from assignments to double closes to what's the new fancy thing, novations. Have you guys done any of those yet? Nope. All right, okay, well, yeah, we're still figuring that out ourselves, but we can figure it out. I'm an investor myself. We actually started Sundial Title basically for investors. We've seen all kinds of crazy things. So, you bring us a property with a bunch of hair on it and we will figure it out. Our team has been doing this for a long time and we hope to get your deals. Thank you.
Just recording that. Oh, so I have to use it? Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Damien. I'm with Outfast Funding, a hard money lending company. So we pretty much do everything that, Rob doesn't do. So fix and flips, rentals, multifamily, new construction, cash out refinances. That's pretty hot right now. If you want to know more, talk to me in the back after these guys talk. I would love to get to know more of you and share my knowledge that I've gained from this man. So listen to him tonight, and this man, and that man back there. So I've gained a lot of knowledge in the past few months. So if you want to learn more, I'll be happy to talk to you.
Hey guys, I'm Tangi Cousins. I'm a nationwide lead provider. I work with foreclosures and probates daily. We provide leads to investors, realtors, attorneys. We provide probates, pre-probates, inheritance, foreclosures, code violation, eviction. But I want to talk about foreclosures right now because we know the moratorium has been lifted and there's a lot of foreclosures happening out there right now. So that's really good to go after. But even better than that, we also have probates and pre-probates. You've heard a lot about that. Probates and pre-probates by far are honestly some of the best leads you'll ever get. They have a lot of equity. They typically don't mind taking a discount and they're extremely motivated. You usually can get the properties for deeply discounted wholesaling prices. People are usually older when they lose their parents, so they usually don't want the property. So not only do you get the leads from us, we're weekly and fresh and we're all farm for real estate for like the probates and stuff, but the foreclosures are also daily. I also give you a lot of bonuses because I've been doing this for 20 years. I give you access to a company who will do skip tracing for you. He's actually about to speak. They're here, so I'm so privileged to have them here tonight. It's Clear Skip, and they will give you deeply discounted rates just for mentioning foreclosures daily, and when you purchase the leads, you get a special code. So you do get access to the Clear Skip database and be able to skip trace leads really, really, really cheap. I also give you access to my marketing, so you'll get access to my postcards, my letters for deeply discounted rates as well, and raise your hand if you want a flyer. If you put your name in my bowl, I'm going to be doing a drawing, and I'll call you and email you if you win the probate book we are giving away.
Guys, I can definitely vouch for Rob here. We're in the same mastermind group, so he's gonna lay some heat. If you've never seen his properties, amazing stuff, and Tangi has amazing leads and our clients love using her. But raise your hand if you've seen a completely shift in the market in the last 3 months. Right, completely changed. The great thing about it is the wind, like imagine if you're on a boat, the wind stops, okay? So when the wind stops, you have to row, right? What my company ClearSkip does is that we help you get a little bit extra wind, get a little bit extra muscle when you start to row when the market's not actually doing the business for you. We actually provide 10 phone numbers, 10 email addresses, and an updated mailing address for the leads that you're pulling. So you can go to the tax records, pull every single absentee in-state owner. By the way, you want to write that down. It's an amazing list. If you want to pull all of the absentee in-state owners in your area, so people who own 10 rental properties, and you want to reach out to them and say, hey, before your tenant moves out and you list this thing, I'll buy it from you. Really easy way to make 20 grand. We'll get you the contact information, you'll close the deal in 2-3 weeks, you'll get to settlement. And it's pretty easy what we do because we've been doing this for 4 years now, which is absolutely amazing. And we've been able to help over, 5,000 clients at this point, and we've skip traced over 50 million records. So even if you do business in Tampa and you do business in another city, we can help you out. We do all 50 states, maybe Puerto Rico too. But would love to help out. And two, if you're too scared to ever do a deal, I also own PassiveIncomeTampa.com. And what that allows you to do is participate in commercial deals that I do. If you're ever interested, you go to PassiveIncomeTampa.com, take a look at it and get 1% of a really, really big deal. And it's a really cool way to participate in real estate if you haven't. So that's my 2 cents. We have a laptop in the back and we're running a 10% off sale on all of the leads that we have until the end of August. So we'd love to connect with you. We're at the booth right here in the back. Connie, you want to say hi? Thank you.
Good evening, TBREIA. My name is Benny Harris. The name of my company is DSP Premier Solutions. I'm a new sponsor, and I'm a private money broker. So let's see how we might be able to help you. Please take my number down. It's 813. Oh, where was it? 813-603-7494. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Aine Cardona. I am hosting the North Tampa subgroup meetup, which meets the first Wednesday of every month, so September 7 to 9. And this coming month, we have Adrian Smooth, and he's coming to talk to us about networking. So I hope to see you there. Come find me if you're in the North Tampa area.
How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody doing well? Yeah. All right. Well, you gotta excuse my friend Mac. He's a little slow. My name is not Ralph Zeeler. My name is Ralph Zeiler, and I am the business relationship manager at Old Tampa Bay Title. There you go, Mac. How you like that, Mac Daddy? Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry, Mac. It's only been about 5 years we've been doing this and have known each other, but it's all good, man. It's cool. Anyways, Ralph Zeiler, business relationship manager at Old Tampa Bay Title. We are a real estate attorney owned and operated title company. We have not one, not two, but 3 in-house real estate attorneys, in addition to an awesome escrow team that is very familiar with what you guys do on a day-to-day basis as well. So fix and flip, wholesale, whatever that may be, we totally understand that process and help get you get your deals closed. Also, shout out to these guys. Powerhouse Panel, man. This is awesome. I'm loving it, man. Yeah, Powerhouse Panel. Let's get up for the panel real quick, all right? So, hey, that Old Tampa Bay Title, we're here because we want to go the extra mile for you. So, gentlemen, if you sit next to ladies, you might got a little stinky breath. I'm here to help you out. So, here, please. Extra mile for you. Extra mile, all right? Oh, there you go.
Hello, Ben Johnson. I am Andy Kozich's partner. Andy's, you see Andy here with JM Real Estate Capital every month. We've been doing private lending for a long time. So whatever you need capital for, we pretty much have it. So fix, flip, buy, hold, ground up new construction, little multifamilies, really big multifamilies, hospitals, hotels, office buildings. There's really nothing we won't look at and nothing we can't do. Most of the loans we do are no tax returns. If you've got problems with your credit or FICO, we have ways to get around just about anything. So grab some swag in the back, come by, meet Andy, give us your questions, let us know how we can help you. JM Real Estate Capital. I won't give you my number. Andy should be here soon, and you can get his card, and off we go.
Thank you. Hayden always likes to sneak in and do this very last. You're in for a treat if you haven't.
Because a lot of people don't want to follow me, that's why. Hi, good evening, I'm Hayden. I buy the structurally messed up houses, the sinkhole settlements, subsidence homes, burned up, blown up houses, houses falling into the ocean, lake, river, pond, waterfront. I also buy the structurally messed up financed houses. So if you come across any foreclosures and there's no equity in them, and you're wondering how you're going to get paid, I'm interested in those houses. I'll pay you, I'll pay the person that's in the property, and I'll bring the mortgage current. I'm very interested in those houses. List pendants when they get filed for the foreclosure for the first time. Very interested when it says US Bank, Mr. Cooper, Nation Star. Old ones are Deutsche Bank, New York Bank, Mellon. You come across those, you stop what you're doing, you text me immediately, because I'm very interested in those houses. Okay? Okay, also giving out towels. Whoever didn't get a towel, please go ahead and get a towel. So if shit hits the fan, you got a towel to wipe yourself clean. Okay, get yourself in a sticky situation. I got bigger towels now, so you have a lot more area to cover. You ready to throw in the towel? Call me first, then throw in the towel, because if you throw in the towel, you won't have my number on it anymore. All right, it's Hayden, 727-560-6850. Once again, it's Hayden, 727-560-6850. Thank you.
All right, 2 announcements before we get the panel going. First announcement is next month's meeting. Has anybody read the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz? Hand raised. Okay. Okay, a few of you. If you haven't, you need to go to Amazon right now and buy David Richter's version, which is for us in this room. David Richter basically co-wrote the real estate investors version of Profit First. Mike Michalowicz also wrote, oh my gosh, the Pumpkin Plan and a couple other really good books as well. Systems book too, I can't remember that one either. But David Richter is literally a fractional CFO who will help you guys learn how to get your finances in check. You guys are awesome at flipping houses and owning rental properties and short-term rental properties and all that stuff, but if you're like me and most of us, we suck at our finances. And so what David's going to do is come in and talk to you about how to get yourself started with that. He's going to bring a whole bunch of his books for him to sign. I'm really excited. This is a national speaker that we have coming. We're really lucky to have David come in. So please make sure you come back to next month's meeting. It will be one of the best ones we had all year.
I begged and pleaded.
Yes, she did. Thank you to Jennifer for that too.
Back and forth between David and I, and he graciously agreed to come and totally not charge us his keynote. So the first 5 people that register for that, I will personally buy his book for you.
There you go. I like that.
So whoever I see the first 5 registrants are, you're going to get his book from me, and then you can have him sign it. But yeah, this is David's huge. He's great. He's knowledgeable. He's super smart. So just wanted to pop in before that happened. And the chairs are on the way. Can I get up here?
Okay, second announcement is I need someone to raise their hand that is not a member. And there's plenty of you here. Not a member, okay? That would like to earn your $30 that you paid back tonight. All right, fine, I'll do it myself. Who wants to do it? You right in the back? Okay. One of you, I just need you guys to be a runner. As in take this microphone and run around the room when someone has a question for these guys up here. So if you want to come on up, Jennifer, you want to give them their money back. But the caveat is you got to do 20 push-ups. I'm just kidding. You don't sit up. I'm kidding. Hopefully mine works okay. There, look at that. Holy shit. All right, thank you. So if you want to just hang out in the middle there, and then we'll, as long as you're not in front of the camera, you can have the seats. Hang on.
I think it's my mic.
Mic check?
Sorry, we'll turn it down. I didn't have my audio video guy here today, guys, so bear with us. My girlfriend got in an accident today, so hopefully that's not too bad. I'll turn it down.
She okay?
Yeah, she's good.
His video guy's girlfriend. He's married.
Point it out. Point that out.
Throw it out there for him.
Okay.
I got this covered.
Move her down a little bit too.
Panel's throwing Greg right under the bus.
Off to a great start. Okay, hopefully that's a little better. You hear me okay, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to kind of go left to right here and introduce you to these gentlemen up here. Actually, where's Camilla? Is she in here still? I might pick on her. Okay.
I love it.
I
think you need to look harder.
Yeah. I wasn't looking. Would you like to be on the panel too?
No.
No? Okay. We're a little top heavy on the guys here tonight, so thought I could help even it out a little bit. Yes, you do. Anywho. All right, so Rob Isbell on the far left here, ladies and gentlemen. I've known Rob for about 5 or 6 years now. Rob has lent me money on plenty of deals. We worked a couple JVs, I think, as well. Just been a wealth of knowledge. I consider Rob a great mentor and friend of mine. Glad to have Rob on the panel tonight. So Rob is going to be talking to you guys about fix and flipping and being a lender and how you guys can work together and leverage that together. So thanks, Rob, for taking your time out tonight. In the middle, we got Alex Jandick. Alex pretty much got a start here, I think, right? Sort of pseudo got your start here.
For the most part, yeah. Helped out a lot.
Yep. And Alex, you've been around for about 5 years as well in the business, I'd imagine, 4 or 5 years?
Man, it goes by quick.
It does go by quick.
It goes by very quick.
Alex came to TBREIA a long time ago. Was a wealth of, was a sponge like most people that actually stick around here. And I believe that Alex is a true testament to the perseverance of this business, because this business does kick your ass a lot of times. And that's why I believe mindset is really key to this business. And Alex is one of the few people, he's part of the 3% club, I like to call it, that actually stuck with a guru program and did it and powered through, and is here on the stage today. How much have you done in your wholesale deals?
A dollar amount or number of deals?
Number amount.
Number amount, like 91 deals and like, oh, sorry.
Sorry guys. Yeah, it's being recording, so for your
Hello.
There you go.
About 91 deals, and I think like 2.3 million at this point, somewhere around there.
That's worthy of a round of applause. Would you not agree? So yeah, Alex can tell you a little bit more about his stuff too. But on the far right, I have Matt Kelsey in the house as well. Matt Kelsey is actually my business partner in a lot of things: Outfast Realty, Outfast Franchises, Outfast everything, Outfast Funding and everything. Matt's been a private lender and JV partner of mine for 3 years now. And so we've done a lot of business together, and Matt's going to bring a lot of knowledge to the table tonight as well. So give all three of these guys a round of applause, please. So before we get started, I'd like to have each one of you guys just tell a little bit about how you guys got started in the business and how long it took you to do your first deal. Yeah, you can go first, Rob.
What was the question?
How long did you get started?
I got started back in when everything was a short sale. I was sitting at 9 to 5 and saw a short sale kid flipping houses. Made the newspaper, and I found out they had a coaching program, and I didn't have the money to join the coaching program, but I did have a real estate license, so I quit my then job with very little money in my pocket and went and got the office next door to those guys and like, hey, what do you guys do? And then short sales turned to REOs, and then REOs turned into foreclosure auctions, and then it's just natural progression. But about 12 years and it's still going.
There you go. Nice. How long did it take you to do your first deal? How long did it take you to actually do your first deal once you got going?
Well, it was a short sale, so probably 6-7 months.
Okay.
It took us a minute.
That's good. Yeah.
All right. I was in medical device sales from 2013 to 2017, but in 2016, my receptionist quit because the passive income off these apartments that he bought was more than what I was paying him, so that intrigued me. I Googled how to get rich quick in real estate. Probably something very similar to that. Tom Pearl's wholesaling program came up. I bought it with $5 grand that I didn't have, put it on a credit card, and then it took me 15 months of pain and suffering to get my first deal. We had like 13 grand on it. Net was 1,000, and I was like, I'm never doing that again, ever. So here I am. But yeah, 15 months. It was very painful. Now I'm just trying to get rich on crypto. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, good baby. You should be getting that.
Yeah, I'm good. I have a mic here. Oh, no.
Yeah. He's special.
It's okay. So I started in real estate in 2013, right out of school. Broke, no money to my name, moved back in with my parents, and tried to figure out the right path for me. So I got my real estate license, and I was in general real estate for really only a couple months, and this was a time when real estate was just rebounding, and I saw a good opportunity in the new homes market and going and working with a builder as a way to stack up my own capital so I could go and do my own deals. I started selling a lot of homes very fast. The market was kind of a dinosaur, and really I wasn't competing against a crazy amount of people in that. So I saved up my money for that. I bought my first house in a couple years, and then I bought my first investment property 3 years after that, right out of school. And then I started lending my own money out, and I had extra funds from all the houses I was selling, and now I've fully transitioned into full-time real estate investing and lending. So it's been a good path, but everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people start out with nothing in their pocket. So you've got to figure out what your own path is, whether you're going to go create your own capital through a different method to go do deals, or you're going to creatively work with other people as more of the sweat equity partner, and they're the finance person in the deals to bring up your own capital balance. Because you can get so far doing JVs with people, but you need to get to where you have your own capital as well. It brings you more credibility in the deal also. So figure out what activity you can do, whether you're already in real estate or something else, to start building a nest egg up so you can work on your own deals with other people and then get to where you're doing your own deals and you're starting to make the rules on how everything's going to go.
Awesome. Great answers. All right, so the floor is yours. I will help moderate tonight to keep this thing moving, but this is your opportunity to ask these guys any and all questions, because these guys have a ton of experience, and we have an awesome runner here that's willing to run around for us and do push-ups to help make sure that you guys get your questions answered. So who's got the first one? And please, guys, do not be shy. I've been running this thing for 6 or 7 years now. I promise you the question that you have is the same question 2, 3, 4, 5 other people in this room also have. So you'll be doing them a favor because they're probably 10 times shyer than you are.
David.
Oh, sorry, I don't need that.
We need it for the recording.
Oh, sorry, I do need that.
Yes, you do.
I'll do push-ups. Current market, right now, you're just getting started in real estate. Two-part question. What do? Part A is you have money, part B is you have no money. What do? How do you get going?
I'm personally extremely bearish right now. Like, I'm probably not the one that you want to listen to. When I got in, like, I just saw like all my friends lose everything they had. So I guess I still have a mental picture of that. If I was just getting started and I had some money, I don't know. I think I'd probably focus on like kind of your sub 2 type deals. Owner finance, these people that got 3% interest rates, that's going to be gold going forward. Whether you do a sandwich lease or whatever it's called, but I think just if I was actively trying to pursue buying as much as possible with eliminating as much risk, it'd be sub 2 and creative finance at the current time.
I like it.
All right, so to answer the part with no money, actually just filmed some YouTube content on this. I'm just gonna repeat what's gonna be coming out in my YouTube video. If you don't have money, you're gonna have to put time into this. Time is worth money, so you're gonna have to carve out time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. If you have kids, it's gonna be a little bit harder. What I would do is I would do wholesaling. You can pretty much learn it on YouTube at this point, and by attending REIAs. I would try to negotiate with Greg to let me in for free, this REIA as much as possible. I would do driving for dollars, do Google driving for dollars, and then in a Google Sheets thing, I would just make a list of houses that possibly look distressed. Look up the owner on the property appraiser, look up the phone number on whitepages.com, call them, and simple formula you want to use is Zestimate times 0.4. If you get a property under contract at that, you can probably move it. So that's if you have no money. If you have money, did you specify how much money that I have?
200,000.
200,000, okay. I'd probably spend a quarter of that on education about how to properly invest into real estate. And then I would go towards small multifamily and commercial. And I'd probably, if I'm gonna specifically go for money, or specifically go for putting my money instead of my time, I'd probably want to be like a limited partner on a deal just to see like how the deal goes through, part of like a syndication or something. But if I have 200 grand, the only thing in my mind is going to be how do I flip that to 2 million and how quickly can I flip that to 2 million and then just go bigger from there. No. I'm just going to keep on doing it.
It's okay. It's all good. If I had no money, I would call Alex and figure out how I could scale my wholesaling and Greg. But really, I would go start wholesaling just because it would help me learn how to analyze deals and find out what people want to buy. And then I would try to work out some kind of joint venture with one of the back-end buyers of the wholesale. You know, you have a person that's buying, maybe they're buying multiple properties. Figure out how you can work with them on something when you cherry pick the best one for yourself. So I'd start making some money wholesaling and then figure out how I could joint venture with someone to start sharing in some of the properties instead of making the small pieces. Or sometimes you can make a lot of money in wholesaling, but I'd rather get into deals and start learning how to do that. So I try to partner with one of my buyers on a deal. Once I found the right deal I wanted to do that with. If I had 200 grand, I would do the same thing just at more of a scale. Just vet around, look who I want to work with, see people that are doing deals, offer to throw money in on bigger projects with them.
Mac behind you.
Yes. Hello?
Yep.
Yes. Good. Okay. Each of you, how far into your real estate business did you decide to form, or what type of entity did you work through? And are you still using the same one, or have you scaled up to something more involved?
Is this a sales pitch? Probably need to talk to you. No, I know that's something that I need to focus on. I've been actually meeting with asset protection attorneys recently. Still got a pass-through S corp that's got my name all over it. And so it's still the same, but I know that I'm doing that wrong, and I need to correct it.
It's actually a really fantastic question, Mac. I'm glad you asked this. So, the Tom Kroll wholesaling course, I'm pretty sure it tells you to make an LLC. If you've never made an LLC before, it takes about 6 minutes on Sunbiz. The hardest part is figuring out the name of it. I started off with an LLC, and then after doing some research, realized the S Corp was more of what I was looking for. Specifically because, like, the way I have it structured is I pay myself a salary, then I also take distributions, saves me money on taxes. Once I got a CPA, once my business was really chugging along, he kind of modified the S Corp a little bit. I'm not even sure how he did it, but he saves me money on taxes, that's all I know. And it's legal, as far as I'm aware. Actually, I probably shouldn't say it with all the IRS agents that are going to be hired.
They hired a lot of them. They hired a lot of them.
There's 10 in this room.
So I did it pretty early on. I would recommend doing it early on, and then I would also really, really recommend understanding how trusts work. I'm of the belief that, like, even if you're maybe haven't even done your first deal, or maybe you're on your first or your second, you want to set up the structures as if you were like a multi-million-dollar company to begin with, because I can tell you from experience, once you start having 3, 4, 5 deals all going on at the same time, if you're trying to fiddle with LLCs and trying to figure out this and that, come tax time, it's going to be a huge headache for your CPA. It also exposes you to a lot of liability, especially if you're taking properties in your personal name. Step 1 is building money. Step 2 is protecting that money. All it takes is one lawsuit to really, really wipe you out. So visit Mac. I fully support what he does.
We live in a very litigious world.
I almost did it too. I was like, no, don't do it.
You're good. Started with a simple LLC to buy my first rental property, because from what I heard that you need one. I probably didn't even know why I was getting one at the time. Graduated into doing a couple deals on land trust. I think we actually used you for one, Mac, too, so thank you for that. And now we have a C Corp, and we're getting into more complicated structures with the new capital raise we have going. When you're selling stocks and shares, it gets pretty complicated, but I leave most of it to other people, so probably not the best person to ask.
Yeah. Hire attorneys and CPAs.
Hire good attorneys, hire good CPAs, but go out and do your first deal. Don't get too bogged down. Like Alex said, go figure out the name of what entity you want to create. Go make it. Go do some deals. Go make some money. Get going. Don't kill yourself on this when you first start. But once you get going and you have assets, like Alex and Rob said, people want to come get them from you. So get set up correctly.
Whenever I'm forming a company, one of the first things that I do is not just the name of the company. I try to look at the web address, make sure the web address is available, because you don't want to have people go, it's more difficult. Sorry.
It's just for the recording.
For the recording, whenever I'm starting a new LLC or a company, the first thing I look is what's the Gmail, what's the .com that I'm going to be able to use, because it makes it easier to decide between one or another, or pick one. Because obviously we're just the state of Florida, but the web is worldwide, so you have to look at somebody else may have had that idea. I had my first company was Real Estate Solutions, and there was already a realestatesolutions.com. So if I would pick that, so I changed the name to Real Estate Solutions Worldwide,
Smart.
and that it was available. These guys are just one thing about something small like that.
It just saved you guys some money from buying someone's GoDaddy site they're not even using.
Oh, very true.
20 grand, it's yours.
Yeah, right.
I have a similar question to what was asked over there. I have a mortgage, a home, and it has like $200,000 in equity. We haven't purchased anything yet, but we're looking to get into like a multifamily duplex or triplex. My interest rate is much lower than they are now, so I'm a little hesitant to do.
Still.
Okay. That's really where I've been sitting.
Now, I wouldn't refi.
Right.
But if you can get a line of credit or something against it,
yeah,
HELOC, maybe
HELOC,
utilize
okay.
that.
That's kind of where I was leaning.
Yeah.
Don't
get stuck in the 6%.
Go with the rates.
Go get a HELOC. If it's your primary, then I'm gonna give you up to 97% of value.
Okay.
So like whatever the house is worth on an appraisal, minus what you owe would be your open balance. Normally the closing costs are a few $100s on something like that, so it's low, especially like your credit union or wherever your bank is. They're begging to give out these loans because they think you're gonna go put a pool in with it and never pay it off. But if you're smart, you're going to do what you said.
Yeah, I haven't touched it, so.
And so you only pay interest when you use it. So
Oh, okay.
basically think of it like a open credit card that you don't pay until you use, but with much more favorable terms.
That's what that was gonna be my follow-up question is like if we're searching and kind of waiting for the prices to start coming down, I want to grab as much equity as I have now and not use it right away.
Well, you're missing one other piece, but you're on the right track.
Okay.
If things go the way Rob thinks they're going to go, which I think is definitely possible, it might not, might go the other way, right? But if things tighten up, what happens first is banks get much stricter on their underwriting criteria and what they will and won't do. So the easy access to the equity we're talking about now might not be there.
Good to know.
So you should probably do it sooner than later.
They don't charge interest until you start using it.
Most places don't, yeah. It's just basically think of it an open amount of money you can use. Some places do, they'll actually force you to take the whole thing in a draw at first, and you can just send it back or whatever. They give you some kind of like teaser rate. You can talk to me after, but most times it's just open balance and you're not paying interest until you use it.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
And to follow up on that, since I personally have a home equity line of credit, some of the things that were important to me when I was choosing mine was making sure that the appraisal is done correctly for the HELOC. On our personal home, I had to pay $600 for a second appraisal because I knew that our house was worth significantly more than the crappy drive-by appraisal that they did. So when we did the second appraisal, it appraised for $90,000 more.
Wow.
The other thing is when you're borrowing, I call it borrowing against home base, you want to be really careful with that because that's your personal home where you live. So for me, like to have comfort doing that, I keep X amount of cash on hand at any time, and I know that as interest rates go up, most of these HELOCs are going to be adjustable.
Right.
Correct?
Most are.
Okay. So every single month, like I'm constantly logged on to there to see what the new interest rate is. It's going up by this much, it's going up by that much. So I know what the new interest payment is going to be. So where you don't want to be is if you draw out that entire HELOC and that money's locked up for a while, and then all of a sudden you didn't calculate, okay, here's what I'm going to owe each month. So just be careful with it. And well, I mean, when you're leveraging something up to 97%, that's a really high LTV. So just be careful with it, just because in 08, this is how a lot of people got in trouble by doing this.
That's how I got my house.
Yeah. Oh, you're smart. You're
Yeah.
smart. So, but like Matt said, and I actually had to convince a guy out of doing this. I had a guy that came to me and said, "Hey, I got this, HELOC, and I've got like 200 grand to use, and the pool's going to be 70 grand, and I'm just going to use the HELOC to put it in." And I was just like, "Wait a minute, like, okay, how is your pool going to pay you back 70 grand?" He's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I was like, "Are you going to rent out the pool?" Like, because you can do that these days with certain platforms.
Literally my example I was joking about.
Yeah, I was just like, how is that pool going to pay you back? Because this HELOC is going to come due, especially if you're doing a HELOC and it's got like 10% interest. That's a pretty crazy amount to be paying on a pool. I get the whole quiet enjoyment of the pool and whatnot, but I always say use debt to form more equity. That's my rule of thumb. I will not buy a pool with a HELOC. Now, not financial advice, but just, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I haven't touched it. I mean, there's plenty of things I'd like to buy with it, but I haven't touched it at all. So.
Yeah, the golden rule of thumb that I've always stuck to that's never gotten me in trouble is use debt to get more equity.
Right.
Use responsible debt to get more equity.
Yeah.
You could use possibly some of that too to like get, if you want to do a fix and flip, right? Instead of having to go find gap funding, you could gap fund your own deal with a much lower interest rate and fill that gap of the 80-90% that the hard money lender is lending you, and that way you're not, you got some equity on the back end of that, essentially in cash, as long as you do your numbers right. So that's a way to leverage hard money too without having to come up with that cash yourself.
Do you guys ever have a situation with HELOC where they readjusted the value? Because houses, they're probably going to go down, I don't know how significantly over the next 6 months, but especially 97%, a 97% HELOC, if they reappraise your house at 70,000 less over the course of a year, will they reduce your HELOC amount?
I haven't heard of that happening, but I'm imagining all this crap starts happening when things go the wrong way. So I'm too new into real estate to have seen those type of things adjust. But I think that could happen. Yeah, it's their loan.
There are people that have their home equity line credits just closed, like the bank's just like,
there
hey,
you
we're
go.
closed. So
Happened to a lot of builders, and they're building.
I was just at some.
And also, again, about multifamily, I just learned this, so I kind of want to share it, but like, if you're buying multifamily, you're usually buying it from an investor. Investors, they want to avoid that taxable event when it comes to selling it. So getting them to hold the paper, going from a landlord to a lender, I think as long as they're not bringing in more than $40,400 a year for single and $80,800 for married, they don't have to pay taxes on it.
Oh.
And so it's a part of a sales pitch of like, you know, the investors, they don't want to, like, what are we going to do with the cash? What am I want to pay the taxes? So it's kind of solving their problem as well.
Sorry, can you break that down a little more for the layman?
$440,000, you mean per year, per person, essentially.
Yeah, but you're saying that they rent it to me instead of selling it to me?
Right, so you just say, hey, would you like to upgrade from being a lender
to
the landlord to a lender? And so hold the paper and we're going to pay you interest on it. And then it keeps them from getting that big taxable gain or taxable event that happens. And then as long as their income is less than $40,400 per person, there's no tax owed on it.
Is that something that could be done with a conventional?
Sorry, back to the HELOC question. Some banks offer with the HELOC insurance on the HELOC. But
Interest?
No, insurance for the mortgage.
Insurance.
Privately, PMI?
But some banks don't offer. So would you, what do you do?
What do you mean by insurance?
To have an insurance on the HELOC? If something happens to you, you know, there is an insurance. I don't know how it works, but
well, so that's why they only lend up to
steps in, or do you know how does that?
I never heard of that.
So yeah, that's part of the bank is evaluating the risk when they originate the loan. That's why they don't loan 120% of the ARV. It's 85, 97. There's some sort of a gap there that in case you do die, that there's some sort of a cushion for it. Hopefully that helps.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned creative financing. Now, if a seller of a multifamily already has a broker, how do you negotiate the deal with the broker already in place?
Ask the broker if they're open to terms. That's essentially what it is.
Well, the broker's going to have to get paid out of the down payment, essentially.
Right.
As long as they're covered, they shouldn't care.
Yeah.
They're getting their part.
But I think even just assuming someone's mortgage or whatever, I think whoever holds that 2.5%, 3% interest rate next year when things are higher, that's going to be gold to anyone.
I pretty much agree with everything Rob says. Now is the time to educate yourself about creative financing because, you know, none of us can really predict where the market is going, but I can tell you that if you're going to be a really great problem solver over the next few years, you're going to make yourself a lot of money. You're going to solve a lot of people's problems that other people aren't able to solve. So definitely educate yourselves on seller financing. In the example that you used, you know, I'm not a broker, but for every agent or a broker that I've ever worked with, a lot of it comes down to like your relationship with that broker. You know, are you just saying random things? Should they really pay attention to you? I would guess that, you know, brokers are going to be paying attention to a lot more buyers now and in the very near future because there's less buyers. But, you know, if you come with a good-looking proposal of how the seller financing can, well, first of all, pay the broker because that's what they want, how it can get the broker paid and benefit the seller. You know, once the broker gets excited about it and knows he's going to get paid, he can, if the seller trusts him and they have a good relationship, he can be like, hey, well, here's a really great idea. You can avoid taxes, you can do this, you can do that. And then, you know, he's thinking in the back of his head, and I get paid too. No hate out there to brokers or agents. I'm an agent myself, but, you know, we all got to get paid. So
They're not going to want to sell it to the seller. Like, hey, this could be good for you, unless they're going to get what they want to get.
Exactly.
That's common sense.
It's essentially a joint venture with the broker at that point, because brokers are going to ask, you know, what's in it for me? As we all do when we look at a deal. I mean, we're not here working for free.
If they have a broker, maybe you ask them why isn't it sold yet or what's going on with the property. Start with that, and then you've probably learned a lot on that end. And then with what Rob was saying on the owner finance, it's interesting. Jeremy and Greg are working on one somewhat similar to what you were just saying right now with a good rate on it right now. But with all that being said, it probably is a person that wants to be hands off but still wants the cash flow. That works for, pitching them the owner finance side. They don't want to deal with the headaches of the tenants. They don't want to deal with the property anymore, but they still want the cash flow from it. And then if they can avoid or minimize their tax to them, it's a benefit. And normally as an investor, you can pay more for a deal like that when you're getting terms. You save a little bit in other areas, and there's a whole lot to it, but you can actually pay a little bit more for the property.
Oh, I have a question. Hello, everyone. So are you guys what are like your primary investments right now, and what are you buying? Are you guys buying any land? Are you buying any tear downs? Are you against development right now? I know development's been a really big thing in Tampa, and I know, it's definitely helping Tampa grow, but I want to know, are we gonna like stop growing because, of the market, or because, like, do you think people are gonna be happy that we're not growing anymore? I just want to know, are you guys buying land or tear down or development? That's it.
I know Rob answered.
I will wait for the answer.
You know the answer, the fiance. I'm currently not buying any land. However, I think if we get a good downturn, I'm going to focus on doing just new construction on the way back up. But right now, you sell more land. Yes.
What's your signal on that downturn? What are you waiting for?
Right now, there's just not enough. Yeah, right now there's just not enough data. So it's like we're up 60%. We had 2,722 active houses in Hillsborough County on 6/21, and we're up 60% in less than 2 months. A lot of our paper lead stuff's coming in right now. It's their properties that are listed on the market. Sellers are panicking because they haven't sold it yet.
Dude, we had one of our own agents. We had a pay-per-click lead come in this week, literally from one of our own listings.
Yeah, no.
That's hilarious. It's been on the market 7 days. 7 days.
You need a cash.
That's how panicked people are, ladies and gentlemen. And Hunter was like, wait, what? This is one of our listings. They're just panicking.
Yeah, no, so like we had a lead come in last week that he's like, my neighbor's house sold for 605. And so, like, you're right, it did. It's the same floor plan, it's actually catty corner from his. And he was like, I'm like, that house sold in 3 days. And I followed back up with him again today, and I was showing somebody that stopped by my office, this is an example as well. And I was just like, his neighbor's house, the exact same floor plan, sold for 605. And then there was a house that had been on, it was larger, and it was like a 2019, 2020 newer build community where, there's 5 or 6 floor plans and all the same amenities. And there was an active one on the market for 508 for 55 plus days. And like, you can look at his neighborhood and like all the sold comps were like 10 days or less. And then there's probably 9 or 10 active listings in his neighborhood, and they're all over 20, 30 days. They're just sitting there. So it's just, I think we need to have enough data set in with new interest rates, consumer confidence, and then decide like what's going to happen to the market. That's my take.
You're waiting for the bottom.
No, I'm just.
Well, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great.
Are you buying safe land, like land that's undervalued?
What's that?
Are you buying land that's underpriced, or land that has a house on it, so you can like,
I know that's what you want me to do.
you can like rent it out and then you can build on it later?
Yeah.
Is that safer?
If he waits 4 months, he might get the same house for 20% less. So why?
Exactly.
It's going to rent for the same amount.
Yep.
I'll take the mic away from her.
All right. So here's the thing about the bottom. You never know when it is until we're already on our way back up. So we can try to call it all night long. We'll be sitting here for the next 2 years. Me personally, I've done a lot of land. Probably 25 to 30% of my deals over the past year, or 2 years really, have been tear downs, land, sold to several different builders, one in particular.
Domain?
No. No, they're great though. I hate to say it, I really do, but I am getting away from land right now. I actually just had a wholesale deal last week, now that I think of it, that Rob actually funded for me, that was land. But the confidence from builders has, in my opinion, has gone away very recently. So I compare this as a great analogy to growth stocks versus value stocks. So over the past, well, from like 2019 to like 2021, it was a party, man. Especially in 2021, we all enjoyed 2021. I mean, money was like pouring out of people's ears. You could put a house on the market and it'd be gone like before you even hit submit listing. It was wonderful. Now we're dealing with the hangover from that. It sucks. No one likes being hungover, but it has to happen. So when times like this happen, what I focus on, I call them cookie cutter communities. They are my favorite thing in the world right now. So cookie cutter communities are going to be houses, like I'm focusing on stuff built after the year 2000 right now, in HOA communities that have a good school district. I actually just put a house on the market this afternoon. It was a 2014 new build in Auburndale. Took me all of like 11 days to rehab, paint, carpet, that was it. I was in and out for like $4 grand. Up on the market, we've already got a couple offers on it. It's great. So I like houses like that right now, because if for some reason this thing does not sell, and by the way, it's the cheapest house in the subdivision by, I want to say, like $50,000. So it is like a freaking steal. And I bought it, right? So I'm going to make my cut on it. If for some reason it doesn't sell, I can just refinance this thing and rent it out. That's where I'm nervous about land. If I buy something and I can't resell it because all the builder confidence is gone, what I'd have to figure out, I mean, it's possible to do it. I'd have to figure out some type of land use for it, figure out how I can rent that land out, but it's not a house. It doesn't have a roof. I can build a house on it, but that's a whole, I'm not a builder, I'm a wholesaler. So that's why I'm really shying away from land right now. And believe me, I love the Heights. In fact, my hashtag on Instagram is the Heights Wholesaler. Like I love the Heights, and I love doing development stuff, but right now I think it's just a really great time for safe investments. That's just me, from the lack of builder confidence that I've seen. And that might change. It might take a while for it to change. I'm sure it will change, but so you've got to think all these builders that have really worked their way on up over these past 5, 6, 7 years, they're not just going to stop building and just let their companies die. But when you see new builds on the market for 50, 60, 70, 80 days, that time is ticking. A lot of that money is a lot of that money for new construction is borrowed from banks too.
What's that rate that we talked about that they're borrowing at?
Too much.
What was that number, percentage?
Which, what Greg's talking about is even different. A lot of them actually do hard money to buy all the lots. So they're land banking the lots to keep them off their balance sheets, so their balance sheets with their stocks look like they're fine. But actually, all their land is on leverage. It's off their balance sheets when they report their P&Ls, the big builders.
Yeah, so
that's why they're losing confidence.
That's the real confidence hit right there, not the market stuff, but that's the big thing with the big builders.
I mean, I just try to think of it from the eyes of a buyer right now too. If I'm a first-time home buyer, even a second-time home buyer, I'm new to the market. I'm looking with this interest rate. I'm looking at, I'll put it like this. In February, I probably could have, for example, this buyer could have probably afforded a $400,000 house. That's the new $260,000 buyer now, thanks to interest rates. So they're actually paying the same amount of money. The money's just not all going to the builder of the house. It's now going to the mortgage. So we really, really have to consider that. And I mean, it's a great time to buy a used house, in my opinion, in a cookie cutter community like Auburndale. But that's where I'm at, and take it from me, guys. I mean, I've wholesaled a lot of land to builders. I love doing it, but I think we're just, you have to shift with the shifting market. You don't want to get caught with your pants down at the top.
I'll go a little bit the other way on this question. So mostly we're buying single family fix and flip with stuff that we know we can rent out if shit literally hits the fan, which I don't think it's going to, but we're so used to things selling in 3 or 4 days that everybody's having a hard time with this, and we're going to lean more into the single family new construction building side, because if things do start shifting, everyone's going to be pulling out of it. It's going to be a wide open market. I don't want to do any multi-unit stuff, but strategically place single family units that we build or homes. I think that's a really good play. Probably buy land from builders for big discounts because they don't want to develop it. And I think a lot of the market right now on the new construction stuff is greed that drove up a lot of the prices, along with the supply chain being tightened up on people where they're paying more for materials and supplies. But if you look at the margins builders have been making over the last year and a half, yeah, they got eroded a little bit by supply, but the profits they're making are crazy. So I think part of the pricing is just normalizing a little bit. I don't think it's as bad right now as it even feels, but to them, it's hard to go to your company and say, hey, we're gonna sell this house for 20 grand less than our pro forma says. But they really made 30, 40 grand more than they thought they would when they first bought the land. So I'm gonna go the other way with it.
I have a follow-up myself because I read an article recently, I think it was on Inman, how they believe, or some experts and studies believe that the luxury market for new builds is not going to get hit because of the new true wealth that was created in the last 24 months or so. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think that's hogwash? I'm hoping you're saying it's not hogwash because we're building like $1 million house right now.
That's super luxury.
You're answering your own question.
I mean, you also had how many Bitcoin millionaires lose all their wealth, and you know, it's a lot of money's been sucked out. Like my stock portfolio's down tremendously. Like my business partner in our lending and title and stuff, he does a bunch of production style buildings. I think they sold like 103 million year to date. He said they sold 40 last month, and he said their pipeline's pretty much dried up. He's cutting production by 75%. That's more of a 300 type new build. He's doing all Marion County, so it's just cheap, affordable housing. And I'm like, if you get stuck with them, at least you got some cheap rentals. But
hedge funds would love that.
Yeah, and he's
so
like,
turn to a hedge fund.
He's like, land deals are blowing up all over around him. So I don't know if that really answered the question.
Can you repeat the question one more time? I just want to make sure I'm answering it.
Do you think that the luxury market for like new builds and higher end houses are going to get crushed? Because last time it obviously did, but this time they feel like it's going to be different.
What are we defining as like luxury, higher end, like price point wise?
That's a good point. I guess it varies from market to market.
We're just like $1 million
Tampa's
plus, maybe?
luxury market is cheap compared to California and New York, obviously. So
750 maybe.
Yeah,
750 plus probably in Tampa Bay.
I would say 2.5.
Yeah, I just don't foresee it getting crushed. And I say that because the underpilings of it getting crushed last time was subprime loan origination.
Yeah.
I mean, how many borrowers that have mortgages for those homes have some sort of subprime loan and are going to default on? I mean, if you look at lending standards over the past decade, like you pretty much have to like give your firstborn child to get a mortgage at this point.
You actually have to qualify.
Yeah,
not like in 2006.
Right? You know, if you ever watch the movie The Big Short, which is a really great movie. I mean, the reason it got crushed last time is because people were doing these like stated income mortgages where you just wrote down like, yeah, sure, I make 300 grand a year. They're like, okay, here's a house. Not even kidding. I mean, I was like,
they were getting like 10 houses, not a house. That's the real problem.
I was like 12 when all that happened, pretty much. But like, I understand how it happened. I just don't see that happening again. Now, if that starts happening again, someone in this room, please let me know.
Yeah, right. It's not happening.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. Maybe it'll dip a little bit like everything else, but no, I don't foresee that happening.
I agree.
Well, the luxury house market is going to be different. The other markets are basically like when you're talking about people like an average person that's going to get an FHA loan. Like when you're talking about like $750,000 houses, those buyers are usually putting down $200,000-300,000 grand. They're getting their mortgages. They're more conscious about rate, so there's going to be some issue there. But an FHA buyer, it's basically like a buy here, pay here car lot person. What's my payment? And can I afford it? And then can I get a nicer house than the one I've got for the same or less? And that's kind of the mentality. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just common sense, right? I spend $3,000 a month. What kind of house can I get? It doesn't matter. Like if I can get another mortgage and it's the rates are different, but what kind of house can I get for the same amount of money? So all of a sudden, when the rates were so down for the last 6, 8, 10 months or whatever, when you could actually borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars more for the same payment. So you could afford to pay more for a house because it was the same payment. But the person that's in the luxury, they're a different buyer. They're not looking at it the same.
Yeah, and to go off that too, and anyone in this room can correct me if I'm wrong, but most of those mortgages originated with the super low interest rates are fixed. Right. They're not adjustable.
No,
sure.
So, exactly. Going right here, again.
Okay, so trying to just diversify our portfolio, we've been looking at arbitrage. Does anyone in here have any experience with that?
Of Airbnbs?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I second that, don't do it.
Run.
Because I was going to say, with all of these potential landlords or owners, who are having
Don't do
projects-
it.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never done it, but I think you're making
Yes.
pennies for a lot of work. You have to
However-
master lease out a whole fucking building to make any money. I don't think it's worth your time.
I
You
had
can
a-
make more money doing something else.
I had an agent
Too
of
much
mine
risk.
who was new to the business. I don't need it. Called me during 2020 when the market completely was unknown, and it happened. The quick dip that we had like 12 arbitrage Airbnbs and was freaking the f out. Luckily, he's okay because we obviously pumped $6 trillion into our economy, and it's fine. But if it goes the way we kind of feel like it's going to go, it's not going to be a quick rebound like that.
I think a lot of it looks good on a spreadsheet because imagine that you're leasing
I did
a
a
unit.
spreadsheet and it looked real good.
But did you put in the guy that beats holes in the whole house because he's mad about something or floods the house out or the unit or whatever? Like I think there's no way to forecast the random people you have coming in there when it's not a property you own. I don't think the profit's worth the risk at all.
We're using rental data from like 2021.
Yeah, that's another thing when he said you go on like AirDNA, because we do some short-term lending on our end, we use AirDNA reports. But guess what? That pulls in the data from when the Super Bowl was here, when this was here, when this is here. It has nothing to do with the future necessarily. So it's a pretty sensitive market.
Yeah, so the way I think of it is Airbnb arbitrage is a lot of work to properly set up and manage correctly. There's a whole lot of YouTubers out there that would lead you to believe something different, but
They have.
and the more and more like of these like, and I'm a millennial too by age, but the more and more of these like millennial kids that like they're like, all right, I'm gonna teach you to do Airbnb arbitrage. Here's my G-Wagon. Here's this. I'm just like, oh, here we go. So here's the way that I think of it. Like you are at the landlord's mercy for that, and most landlords that use common sense, I would think, I don't do Airbnb arbitrage, but if someone pitched me on the idea of, hey, I'm gonna have a bunch of random strangers coming in and out of your house and this and that, I'd probably be like, yeah, that doesn't sound too great to me. So just imagine like setting up all your business around that, and then it's time for your annual lease to come up and your landlord says, well, you know what, we're going to double your rent because I can and no one's going to stop me, or we're going to triple your rent because I can and no one's
Well,
going to
they
stop
saw
me.
what you were listing it for on Airbnb.
Yeah, so it's just, why bother do all the work? Like, I'm sure it can be done. You can probably make money in the short term, but long term, own the property. That's the best way to do it because you can switch it. If you're tired of doing Airbnb, switch to a regular rental. You get all the tax write-offs because of it. Once you build up some equity into it, you can get a HELOC on it. Like, it's just way, way better to do it that way, in my opinion, long term. Because eventually those YouTube gurus will disappear. So
I think people pitching properties as like, here's the Airbnb value, and this is our income, and it's like, oh, you have 3 houses in not the best neighborhood, and you're trying to ask $900,000 for it because it's bringing in X amount for Airbnb rents. Like, don't buy that either.
Right.
I can tell you how many South St. Pete houses I've sold to people that are fully renovated that are now back on the market because they were trying to Airbnb not knowing the area.
Oh, Jesus.
Stop selling houses, Ken.
Not my problem.
Not my problem. If you didn't know,
This will make a great
in St. Pete, I'm a resident of St. Petersburg. You cannot. What's the short-term rental? You can't do more than three renters within X amount of days. Yeah. Hotels kind of have a little bit of a grip on St. Pete.
I think if you're going to do that, the way to do it is find the properties that you probably would have wanted to do that on and go talk to the owner and say, hey, I think we can get more in rent, and come at it from the property manager and take a cut of that. Okay. And you just don't want the risk on yourself. I wouldn't say of like taking a lease on yourself and subleasing it out.
Yeah, more
but you
like
could
a
talk.
management.
Yeah, and that would be more scalable, and you could grow that without the risk on you.
Right.
I'm telling you, if you first started off and a couple people cause you a lot of problems, like your whole business is blown up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that way, and then I'd throw in, hey, I can get the furnishings for you and all this, and get creative with it and make more money. Charge them a fee to even set the whole thing up.
Yeah. Because I figured there's people who have places they can't sell and need help paying their rent. or mortgage
Well-
and don't want to do the Airbnb thing for themselves. So if we can manage it for them and then these.
I think that's a misconception because houses are still being rented super fast right now. They're
True, because that's
like,
everything.
this is
Yeah.
still a super hot market. You're not gonna have a problem renting your house if you price it right as a long term.
I'm still going to say, and I don't mean to go off track here, but the best way to make a lot of money really quick in real estate is by finding deeply discounted properties and wholesaling them, and then using that cash to then buy the properties and then doing whatever you want with them. That's just my opinion on it. Yep.
Thank you.
Who else has got a question? There's only one piece of cake eaten, so you guys have your homework still.
You guys have any rental properties? And if you do, how many? And what kind of other types of passive income do you have?
I do not have any rental properties. I had a couple and I fire sold them because I thought COVID was it. That was wrong. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the bear market. But yeah, so no rentals right now. And I'm bearish on the market. I know that I need to buy a couple before the end of the year for tax purposes. But other than that, we have a title company, private lending, some FedEx routes in Mississippi, which is a reverse ATM. Yeah, it's a disaster. Yeah, I've got some other passive streams set up.
Currently, I don't have any rentals. I am under contract on a duplex. I've been under contract on it for 7 months, but if...
The short sale?
No, someone in the estate decided to file a fake will, and I have to fight that in court, but...
Awesome.
Don't mess with me in court. But anyway, we'll get that duplex. Might even Airbnb it, to be honest. And then we're looking to buy a quadplex from the same estate. So working my way on up. And then in addition to that, I've got 2 Amazon automation stores and 1 Shopify store. And you can probably tell by the tone of my voice that they're all right. You know, there's a lot of ways to make passive income. I would just say do it in real estate. There's just a lot of benefits to it.
I have 5 personal, and then our fund has some. I hate every single one of them. Damien's laughing because I talked to him about this when he told me he wanted to buy a rental property. I think there's a lot better ways to make money passively, personally. So just for me, it's stuff that I bought at a good value. I mean, I would invest if you want to invest your money and not hold on to the property and deal with tenants. Obviously, property manager is the first stopgap, but I would actually just find people you can partner with on deals instead of putting your money into rental properties, especially with the I hate dealing with tenant. I can go into it after. I don't want to get into it. I've had a lot of issues with all kinds of people, and I'm just not a big fan of them. It's just a lot of. No, I'm good. Thank you, though. Okay, thanks. So like, if you buy a rental property and you're buying the 1 to 4 unit stuff, that is what most people access when they start off. If you're financing any of it, your cash flows really aren't great, and you run this nice spreadsheet and you're going to make $300 to $500 a month cash flow on your mortgage, but then one guy doesn't pay you 1 month. Now you have an issue, or you have an AC go out. And so for a lot of people, when they're getting pitched this dream to go buy rental properties, they'd be better off investing with other people than holding the asset on themselves because there's so much risk on it. When they fix their AC, that was their cash flow for a year or 2 on the whole property. So just for me, in a competitive market like where we're sitting in Tampa Bay, the numbers don't make sense. Now, rental properties in more outskirt areas, if you live there and you know there and you invest there, like Lakeland and areas over there, just not in the main city areas, I think work a lot better. But in this market, you're paying so much for the property that if you're using any kind of financing, the numbers to me don't make sense.
I agree with that.
And if you're using all cash, I think you could have done something else to make more money with your money. So.
Yeah, we've talked about this internally a lot, Matt and I and some of our other partners. Like, rental properties are not really a cash flow play. Everyone talks about that. It's an equity play.
Correct.
Yeah. It's not built for cash flow. Cash flow is your big multi-family building. So what Matt's kind of talking about is like investing in partnerships, JVs, lending hard money yourself if you've got that kind of capital, because you can make 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% in 6 months. And then do that again, and now you're 10, 24%.
Yeah, I'm invested in some funds and make way more passive money in that with no headaches. And I can just focus on what I'm good at.
Your network?
On what?
Doing it your way.
You just
Like lending
fix
money, how do you
fix
do
and
it?
flips
Your network.
on lending money.
Yeah.
You lend it out for 6 to 12 months at a time, and you charge 10 to 12%, and you just grow it that way. Sometimes you can sell a note too, and so if you lend your money out, you can sell the note and keep a point or two, and just keep lending the same money out.
And to go off that point, like cash flow with single family like homes, unless you bought the house in 2010 and never refinanced it, I mean, like for the people that are saying like, oh, I've got this great cash flowing house and the cash flow's like $200 a month, that's a really great $200 to just leave in the bank and just never ever touch that. Because an AC goes out, anything happens to the house, that $200 times however many months it is, that's just going to be gobbled up. So, I've thought about this a lot in my duplex, like how am I going to make, in my mind, just a shit ton of money on it, because that's what I want to do. It's going to be an investment. So if I rent it out to just, regular long-term renters, I'm just going to, it's time capsule money. Just put that money away, don't do anything to it, and then it's an equity play, like Greg said. If it's Airbnb, in my opinion, I'd probably take anything that cash flows over, any cash flow over $1,000 a month, then I would use that as my actual cash flow. But I'm the type of person, I just like to have a lot of cash on hand, just because, when they say passive income, nothing's passive income, man. It takes time, it takes effort, and yeah, the little $100 amounts or a few $100 amounts, just, I don't see that as cash flow. I see it as just sock that money away.
Whenever somebody says to me, I want to buy rentals, I said, that's because you don't have any rentals. That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, being a landlord's not fun. I was a landlord for a month once. It was terrible.
That one right here, guys, in the back.
Hey, I was just curious. I caught some of you guys are lenders. What are you lending on, and who do you lend to?
Matt, go ahead.
So we've had a lot of investors pulling back their capital that we'd raised. So we've been returning a lot of capital over the last couple months. So kind of just pumping the brakes on loans right now, but still funding some with personal cash. That's just kind of keeping the relationships going. But more fix and flip, 1 year, like not the cheapest loan in the world, but like call me and, hey, I got a deal that needs closed tomorrow, and I know who you are. Like, I just got to send a wire. Like, we're good. Like, so it's.
I can vouch for that too. Literally, I think we had 3 days one day. I was like, boom, done. Money's in the bank.
I can also vouch for that.
Yep.
Which is a headache because everybody's like trying to wholesale and like last minute, it's like, I can't wholesale, Rob. Can you take it there? Can you fund this? I'm just like, it's the scramble.
I've lent to a few friends before, just for like short-term deals. And if I'm doing lending on a deal, like I just got to make sure that deal's like stupid cheap. When I was saying like Zestimate times 0.4 earlier, I'm not kidding. Like when people send me deals to like fund, like I'll fund stuff usually like under $100,000. There was a deal in Sulphur Springs that I funded for my buddy. We bought it for like $88,000. I funded it. We did a 50-50 JV, and then we sold it for $150 after just cleaning the trash out of it.
Sulphur Springs,
right?
You know the market's hot.
Yeah.
That was actually in June too. It was a good deal though, just because the buyer for it had a really good plan with it. But yeah, I'll lend on stuff as long as I know the person, I trust the person, I can put a mortgage against the property in first position, and I won't lend to people that just randomly bring me stuff. Like, hey, I've got this property for $800,000. The ARV is 820. No, get away from me.
Be surprised.
Sorry, two-part question I was going to ask, because you talked about being a little bit bearish in the market. Are you kind of peeling off on the leverage a little bit instead of saying, hey, I'll fund 100%?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, we want somebody down on every deal. Used to for our good borrowers, like we're very relationship based. Most people have come to us several times. It's kind of just shoot me a text. Hey, Rob, I got this deal that needs to close on Friday. Like, are you good for 300? So now it's like, hey, can you put down like 10-15% and pay for the renovations, because we don't fund any of the renovations. So I know that they got enough skin in the game. And again, we also have a relationship in place. So it's, I don't really have to go look at the houses because I've seen their projects and seen how they work before. So that's how we're able to, I guess, execute on loans so quickly.
Got it. And assuming it's just short-term loans, no long-term,
Do you
1
do
year.
notes?
And I was going to ask if you did new construction as well.
No new construction.
Got it. Thank
Funded
you.
some JVs, new construction, but it's no pure debt.
So if you need any 30-year investor stuff, we do that at Outfast Funding. Those products are brokered because we're not going to lend our own funds out for 30 years at like 6 or 7%. That makes no sense. But if somebody else would like to do it for us, we're more than happy to help facilitate the deal for you. And then on the fix and flip, it's 6 months to 24 months. Most of the deals are just 12 months, but the rates slightly move around and bounce around on that. And most of them are 20 to 25% down on the purchase, and then we'll fund 100% of the renovations for you. But you need the money for the renovations in draw stages. So say it's $50K a renovation and you're doing a few draws of that money. You need the money out of your own pocket to do the renovation, so when we come by the house or an inspector goes by the house, we can reimburse you for that. But we're not the people to call where you need to close in 3 or 4 days. It's going to be a few weeks, because a lot of the times we're looking on our end, can we originate the note ourselves and sell it off to an investor we know, or something we like to place our own capital in for 6 to 12 months. So on our stuff, it's going to be a few weeks. We're never going to close something in 2 or 3 days.
Got it. Thank you.
And also we have a relationship. Same thing.
If you do need something closed in 2 or 3 days for the A to B closing, and then the B to C closing is the same day, call me. I'll cover you on that. That's called transactional funding. I'll do a little bit of that. But yeah, for the little lending I've done, like if I have equity in the deal, like a 50-50 JV, I'll be a little bit more lenient on it in terms of timing. But for me, I like my money back in like 45 days. Very, very quick. I won't do any lending on like flips or anything, just wholesale stuff for the most part. But yeah.
All right. Going back to the draws, does that mean that you need the full rehab amount, or how is it broken down?
Let's say it was a heavy rehab on something and you needed 100 grand, and we're going to have you send us a draw schedule. Let's say it was 25 grand per draw. You'd list out a scope of work on what each stage of the project's going to be. Once you hit stage 1, say the first draw was 25 grand, we'd make sure all the work on what you put in that you're going to do is actually done. Then we're going to reimburse the 25 grand that you spent out of your own pocket on the first draw. And now you have your 25 grand back to go do your next set of work on the property.
Got it. So you just need a little portion of it. So whatever your draw schedule says, you just need that amount.
Yeah, so if your cash to close is tight, we'll just set you up with more draws.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Commercial, why or why not?
I don't know. I think there's different types of commercial. Like I'd probably want to be in some like warehouse space. I feel like everything's Amazon's like a big threat to like any industry, and I think there's no shortage of like general contractors, window companies, just people that rent like that small flex space stuff. Tenants are easier. Like they complain about tenants, you're dealing. So one good thing about commercials, you're dealing with a business owner. If there's a problem, it's 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Dealing with a single family, it's, you know, you're getting a call because their toilet's clogged on Sunday night at 10 o'clock. And so it's just a lot less headaches, and yeah, just, I don't own any commercials, so I really don't have any deep thoughts on it.
I love commercial property. I don't personally own any. I have never wholesaled any, but long term, I see myself getting into a lot of commercial property. To echo what Rob said, the tenants are way easier. Typically they're on triple net leases. And what that means is the tenant is responsible for a lot more payments for the property taxes, insurance, and whatnot. Also, depending on the type of commercial property, if it's like storefronts, you know, let's use like a small shop owner, for example, their livelihood is that store. So they're going to have a vested interest in making sure it looks as nice as possible. They're probably, and I say probably, not going to want to wreck the place like a regular evicted tenant would on a residential space. Also, commercial, you're typically working with longer leases. You can be more flexible with the leases. There's just a whole broad spectrum of flexibility with commercial. And the other thing is, with selling it or with getting it appraised, it's based typically upon the cap rate, which is a multiple of the leases on the building. So if you, let's say you have 3 tenants and you up all their leases by $2,000 a month or something like that, all of a sudden you've added a whole bunch of equity to your building. The why not part, typically, at least from my experience, moves slower for us residential guys that are still looking at the glory days of 2021. It was fast, man, it was fun. So commercial, I think, is really great for long term. I mean, you can wholesale commercial, you just got to know what you're doing. You got to understand, the ins and outs of it. But I think commercial is, pretty much all asset classes in commercial are fantastic.
I'm not involved in the space, so no comment from me. I'd stick to multifamily, something I understand and know.
Oh, all right, got a couple up here.
So I have two questions. One has to do with wholesaling. So what do you find brings in the best leads? Like bandit signs? Are you cold calling? Are you door knocking? Like, where do you find you guys find the best leads for wholesale?
He's the wholesaler.
Follow up is where I find the best leads.
Follow up.
I'm sorry if that doesn't completely answer the question, but all leads coming in are great for the most part, especially if they qualify for like the pillars of motivation, whether it's an eviction deal, whether it's a probate deal, whether it's an absentee owner, as long as they're motivated. But I can tell you, out of the 91 deals that I've done, I've had one where within the same phone conversation for an hour, I got them to sign a contract. Now, some people are a lot better than me and can get that done right away, but on average, I would say that most follow-up for me is between like the 60 and 90-day mark is where we go under contract. I will say from the biggest deals that I've done, the 6-figure plus ones, I've had to track down people for over a year on those deals and do the things that nobody else could figure out how to do, like looking up someone's nephew on LinkedIn and paying him $500 to get a hold of the seller. But it worked. I made 127 grand on that deal. So follow-up, that's where your best leads are going to be, because anyone can market. Not a lot of people follow up though. I'm even bad at it sometimes. So follow up, follow the hell up, and you will get a whole lot of great deals.
So just kind of initially finding their pain point and then keep waiting and coming back to it kind of thing?
Finding their pain point, but so when you're working with distressed sellers, whether it's the property is in distressed condition, whether they're in a personal distressed situation, or both, you want to be nice to them. Typically these people are going to be people that had something in life thrown at them that they didn't anticipate, that they didn't deserve. It's a crappy situation. So I've found the best success when I come from a point of help. Say, how can I help you? How can I make sure that you get the best deal on this property? How can I make sure that you're going to be satisfied on closing day with what you get? Because if you're calling someone in foreclosure and you're like, hey, Bob, I'm just calling you to remind you that your mortgage is past due and I can buy your house for 50 cents on the dollar, Bob's not going to like you. Bob damn well knows his house is in foreclosure. Or if you're calling someone like whose parent just recently died, like, hey, Bob, sorry your dad died yesterday. What are you going to do with that house? Not a good look. So yeah, you want to be nice and come from a standpoint of help. You're there to help. And always know that you might not be the best option. I can't tell you how many times I tell people, when I'm not the best option, I'm like, call a realtor. They're like, aren't you a realtor? I was like, yeah, but I don't do listings. Like, call another realtor. You can get more money for this. And you'll have, I always know that it's going to be a good deal for both of us when they're like, I just don't want to deal with the realtor. I just want a cash offer from you. It's going to be easy. That's when you know that's going to be, a good wholesale deal and you can help them out.
Awesome. Thank you. And does anybody else want to speak on that or no? Okay.
I asked Greg.
The second question has to do with your fix and flips, and that may be more towards you. So with the fix and flips, do you have a GC that you work with, or do you have just subcontractors that you work with kind of thing and you manage them, or how have you found that best works for you?
So I'm more.
I think code enforcement just walked in. Go ahead.
We've seen them recently. Don't worry. So, anyways, I'm more working on the back end of the number side of it, making sure the deal works and can we get a note on it? Can we sell the note and kind of that angle of it? But you need multiple contractors. Sometimes people are going to leave on you off the job or just not come through when you need them to. And then if you are subcontracting the pieces of it out, you need to make sure that it's not something you're going to get popped on a code enforcement, like it's not something major. If there's anything major going on with the house, you're better off just finding somebody that can get permits pulled. Your biggest concern is getting the permits pulled for the property. If it needs the
100%.
permits, so you don't get slowed up, stopped out, have people breaking in the property because it's vacant. I could go on for this for a long time.
And it's your
I have one right
insurance
now.
policy. Like, so if there's ever a problem with the house, it's as litigious as our country is, like, somebody tries to sue you over something like, this was permitted and inspected by the city. So, always permit everything.
I love that question. I get it all the time. Do you want to pull a permit? I'm like, you're damn right I do. Come on. Especially if it's a 4-point issue, because then you can't write on the MLS, brand new roof. Like, I would never do a roof without a permit, but electrical panels. Yes, because I want to tell the people, yes, this is a brand new panel, because if I do that, the city has gotten smart. They're going and looking at the listings that say new panels.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, especially in St. Pete.
This week.
Oh bro, it's bad.
Really?
Day before closing, we got a stop work order on a house where we just cleaned it up, like literally didn't do anything that needed permits, and they put a stop work order on the house because it said somewhere in our listing, recently enclosed back porch, and on their records at the city, they had no record of it being enclosed ever. So now we have to deal with it. We still sold it, but we have $5,000 escrow holdback, and we have to now do a after the fact permit for a bunch of work that a previous owner did on the house.
And I would like to add, Alex
Yeah.
just mentioned somebody being in foreclosure and adding value. I know most wholesalers out there, they kind of just go make an offer just to get the seller to sign, and they have no intention or capacity to actually close on the property.
That's our
Especially-
favorite.
Yeah.
Rob and I go those on Facebook all the time.
Yeah, so if you're making an offer to a homeowner and you're intentionally lying, going, hey, I'm a cash buyer, and you have no intention of ever closing, no ability to ever close, it's, in my opinion, it's fraud. But so just make sure that you get someone with the capital where you can close, because all I did was buy from the foreclosure auctions for years, and I can't tell you how many people I walked up to. It's like, hey, there happens to be some equity in your house. Like, oh, we're working with somebody. And I'm going, did you get a proof of funds? And then the house goes to foreclosure, and the wholesaler reaches out to me like the day before. So it's do the right thing by other people, and you'll be rewarded by it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How, especially you, Alex, I'm sorry, I think I know the answer to this. How are you dealing with these dipshit virtual wholesalers from Arizona? We all know they're Arizona. That are giving these stupid offers, have no intention of closing, hoping to find a dumb buyer, and then they're coming back to us and going, help me. How are you overcoming that?
So I'm going to answer your question, then I'm going to answer your question too about contractors. So there's part of me that wants to answer this like with a bunch of swear words, but I'm going to reserve myself.
I can stop the camera if you'd like, or mute it.
So wholesaling is really easy to be good at because all you have to do is actually follow through on your word, which is very rare for wholesalers, unfortunately. What I do is I basically want to educate the seller on what to look for in the offer. So I'll say, hey, if there's someone with a better offer than me, I encourage you to take it, as long as it meets a few qualifications. Number one, depending on the house, I say, if they've already seen the house, 0-day inspection. They don't need any inspection period. Why would they need to inspect if they're buying it as is? Said number two, you want to make sure it's at least a $5,000 earnest money deposit. I talk to them about what an earnest money deposit is and why they want, on the day of contract signing, not 3 days after the fact, not 24 hours after the fact, literally the second that they sign with another wholesaler, that EMD receipt should be coming from the title company back to the seller's email. And I say, look for that, because anyone who's serious is going to be able to put down their money at the title company. If they're not, then they're not going to put it down. How do I know? Because I used to not put my earnest money down.
I respected you because I think you've closed on pretty much everything.
Yeah, and I go into it with the intention. I tell the sellers, I say, I'm going to send you an offer. It's going to be lower than the competition's offers. Here's the terms on it. If for some reason I don't close, you get $5,000. Is that fair? And they're like, well, sure. You know, I put my money where my mouth is. And when you educate them on that, that really means a lot to them for the ones who listen. Because yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that just try to tie up properties, you know, on 30-day inspection, 60-day closing contracts. I mean, I used to do that back in the day. We all had to get started somewhere, but at least I followed through and connected it with end buyer money and got the deal done. So the wholesalers are always going to be out there, man. You just got to take it with a grain of salt. Now, for the ones that you actually have to interact with, I've done this new thing that since I close on a lot of my properties, I'm now looked at as a cash buyer, and I tell wholesalers I'm like the worst cash buyer you'll ever talk to because I buy things for just dirt cheap. That's the whole thing. I wholesale. I need to buy them with equity, and I say, you know, if you want me to buy a deal, just estimate times 0.4. Don't send it to me if it doesn't meet that. If it does meet that, then holy moly, I'm going to buy that thing on the spot as long as that estimate is right.
So before you send them a deal, jack this estimate up.
Yeah, claim ownership of the house, jack this estimate up. But yeah,
It's got 10 acres instead of the Tampa.
Yeah, right. you just have,
multifamily.
You have to deal with them and just you know, educate the sellers on what to look for. More often than not, you know, sellers will come back to me after being under contract with someone and say, hey, does your offer still stand? And now I say, let me reevaluate the market because I'm not sure if it still stands. That's the honest truth.
What was the third thing you said too? No inspection, 5,000 earnest.
5,000 earnest.
Due upon contract.
What's that?
Due upon the contract signing.
Yes, due upon the contract signing.
No inspection date.
Yeah, no inspection, non-assignable.
No contingencies,
proof of funds,
right?
Yeah, proof of funds is another good one too.
Scorching earth.
What the hell did I say? Yes.
No contingencies, right?
Nothing was it.
There's something else I said. I'll have to rewind the tape.
Wait, why would you make it non-assignable?
Because if you are going to wholesale a property, and a bunch of people are gonna argue with me on this one. I always say double close. Double close, double close, double close, double close. Do not assign, double close for the love of God. It's more expensive, but it looks better in every single way possible. Anyone who's ever done an assignment contract, like closing day, at least for me, it's always stressful. Because you have to like coordinate with the buyer, like, hey, when are you sending the money over? Especially if the seller's like, hey, when am I getting the money from the title company? And then the seller's gonna ask, hey, why am I seeing this different LLC on the HUD? Especially if they're a little bit savvy about it. Oh, that's my partner. Well, hey, I looked up the LLC and you're not a principal member of it. When you close in your LLC or entity, there's just no questions about that. Because the name on the original purchase contract is the name on the HUD. I've always had an issue with that, and I've lost deals over it, so now I spend the extra money, I just double close it every single time. The only time I'll ever assign it is if I have like a seller who's just like done with the property, never ever wants to see anything about it again, is one of those like, hand me the closing documents, they sign it. Yeah, but most of them are not like that, so that's why I always like to double close.
Okay.
What was your question about the contractors though? Because I did want to answer that.
Just like, do you work with subcontractors? Do you work with just directly with a GC, or and then also just how you connect with them?
Sure. So the best answer to that property question, it's getting late, past my bedtime. Best answer to that question is you want to buy properties with rehabs that don't require permits, like paint and carpet properties. Those are my favorite. When you do paint and carpet, you just have to find a painter and someone who can do carpet, which is really anyone off the streets these days. When you're dealing with a rehab, let's say you're dealing with the gut rehab, the way that I like to break it up, I haven't personally done a gut rehab, but I've done rehabs that do require permits. For an air conditioner, you want an AC contractor. For electrical, you want an electrical contractor. Plumbing contractor. If you hire a GC, what I have found at least, is the GC will do like 50% of the job, then just sub out and just make money on the other parts of it. So you have to get really good at project management, and it's gonna be funny when I say this, but TikTok and YouTube will teach you exactly what to look for when you have these contractors doing these jobs. Because you don't want to tell a contractor, oh, just throw a new AC in. You want to know what to look for before final inspection to make sure the AC is done correctly. I have an AC being done at one of my flips today. My handyman is out there with the AC contractor, 2 different people, and I said, please send me pictures of X, Y, and Z before they leave today. I want all this done correctly, because I'm not paying them before this final inspection is done. The AC company doesn't like me too much for that. I don't care. I want this done correctly. I don't want to have to call them back after final inspection. So that's how I like to do it. Just kind of say it's my way or the highway.
How do you,
How do you like weed out like the daisy chainers and stuff? Like, cause me, I've been working with Greg for like close to a year now, doing acquisitions, dispositions. Cause I do my license, but when I get houses sent to me, I see them from a different company, and they're just wasting our time. Like, there's one point where I was dealing with houses with 3 different people who did not know each other. Like, how do you weed those guys out?
Personally, I don't even look at wholesaler deals. I've never found a single person that ever sent me to the house and said, here's the ARV, here's the actual rehab estimate, close enough. It's usually, like somebody sent me a deal today, it was 40 grand reno. I can tell by looking at it's probably 75, and the ARV is 420. I'm like, you just had a beautifully remodeled house on the same street that was a 3.2, not a 3.1, that sold for 375. How the hell did you get 420?
Yeah.
It's just like they don't look out for.
Like, you think it's better to send them comps? Because that's what I've been doing. I've been sending my own comps and saying, tell them like the rehab's not like. Because most people are paying like $45, $50 a square foot right now.
It's about 50
and I don't think they don't.
Yeah.
Like some of them just don't get it. And then, like,
Do you feel it's unethical to wait for their contract to expire and then go back to the seller directly? Is that what you're asking about, Connor?
Hey, whoever brings the money brings the money.
Yeah. Actually, a friend of mine, he's just showed me a course that he was going to pay like $3 grand to go to in Ohio, and he showed me the curriculum. And part of it was after you get it under contract, wait till close to your inspection, and then he showed me their website. He goes into like how to renegotiate.
I hate that.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
like some people, their whole business models, like, it's like, wait, right up to closing, homeowner's packed up, U-Haul's there, it's like, sorry, Greg, can't close in your house unless my lender said he can't, we gotta need 15.
It's just bad business.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
It's just so much unethical.
It's so easy to just be transparent and make money. There's no
Amen.
reason to be a swindler kind of person.
Exactly.
Plus, your rep follows you wherever you go in this business. Tampa's not that big a town.
No.
Even though it's getting bigger. But.
I just realized this went off. But here's a
We've got back.
Start over.
Luckily, we got backup mics. We're good.
Restart.
Here's a solution to your problem. So I get daisy chain deals sent to me way too much. So what I like to do is when I talk to the wholesaler, get them on the phone, and I say, are you directly or an entity you are a principal member of directly under contract to the seller? And if the answer is anything except yes, I'm like, no, stop. Let me ask the question again. And I say, because if you have to explain, oh, it's a friend of a friend of a friend, don't care, no, not even looking at it. And I say, if you send me like one more deal like this again, I'm never contacting you or never talking to you again. And if it's something that's iffy, I say, just send me a copy of the contract and black out the purchase price. If they have any issue doing that, then there's going to be an issue with them. So if the answer is not yes, that they're directly under directly under contract to the seller, then just don't even look at the deal. Just got to be strict with them, man. There's a lot of fly-by-night people virtually from all different parts of the world these days, and I don't think that's ever going to get better. There's always going to be people trying to make quick money in it. You just got to cut through the bullshit, excuse my French, and make sure they're directly under contract to seller.
Put your focus in finding the leads that are direct from the distressed sellers.
That too. Oh, also too, when you are dealing with a deal that, let's say you're going to do, like, if someone brings you a deal, be very clear about what the responsibilities are for that deal. If it's a 50-50 JV, like let's say, okay, let's say Rob gets a deal under contract, now I'm responsible for finding a buyer. I like to put it in writing that I have the contract rights, or not the contract rights, the marketing rights to that contract. Because if Rob sends it out, then I send it out, then a day later, Rob forgot to tell me, but he dropped the price by 5K, so now I'm sending it out. Now it looks like I'm the daisy chainer. So I always like to have something in writing if it's a JV deal like that. And if the wholesaler is not willing to do that, then they're just not worth my time.
I would never do that to you.
I know you would.
I have a question for you, Alex. Have you ever had somebody you were JV in wholesale with that wanted you to market a property, and then they came to you and said, I sold it on my own? And you had some kind of issue with that? Because I could see that happening out of that. You know what I'm saying?
I have had that happen one time before, and I had a very uncomfortable conversation with them after the fact. And I said, you essentially violated this written contract between us. I'm not going to be mad at you because it was a personal friend of mine who I knew I'd be doing more business with. But
Matt, you're talking about the seller.
I'm talking about.
The owner of the house?
No, if you actually have say I had a wholesale deal under contract directly with the owner, I know you have a great buyers list, I come to you, we agreed on a 50-50 split. Well, he said I'm putting the marketing rights in there, smart. But say I came to you and said, oh, sorry, MJ, I found the buyer, I'm not doing the 50. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a way to protect yourself on something like that, especially as a newer wholesaler.
It's a lot of work to go pitch a deal sometimes to your good
Yeah.
buyers list, so I get it.
You have to
It's
evaluate
bad. You're saying what if they stole your deal, basically?
No, like someone came to you with a deal they had and they wanted you to market it, but then they came to the person that they wanted to market it and they go, oh, sorry, I'm not paying you, I sold it myself. I could see this happening.
So here's a really easy way to just avoid all this. Just go direct to sell yourself and sell the deal yourself.
Yeah.
Because when there's more than two hands in the pot, it always gets messy.
Mm-hmm.
Two is like my max amount. Even two makes me uncomfortable. I like to have it be one, my hand.
One's the best, obviously.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
As far as wholesaling, do you think it's better to find your cash buyers list before you start reaching out to potential motivated sellers, or get the deal first and then go out and look for your buyers?
Get the deal first.
I personally really don't have a buyer's list. I am the buyer, so we just close and throw it on the market, or just did our first 3 assignments last month, just because it's like, all right, maybe I don't want to have this cash out. So I think maybe I might focus on building a little buyer's list now, just because I'm not as comfortable taking everything down. But so I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
I would say you want to do both simultaneously. That's at least how I did it when I got started. So I'd spend like maybe 60% of the week finding deals, 40% of the week lining up buyers. Because
if you find a good deal, the buyers will come out of the woodwork.
This is very, very true.
I mean,
yes.
Now, maybe not this month, it's been dead, but I'm saying if you find a good deal, you're going to find a ton of buyers. You know, they need no effort at all.
Yeah.
All the cash buyers will come if you have the right number.
Yeah, and what I did to like get started is I'm a very relationship-based person. So what I would do is I would talk to the cash buyers about the comps I was looking at. Like, tell me about 1234 Main Street. What did you like about that deal? What didn't you like about that deal? Did you make a profit? Was it a good profit? Would you do a deal again on this street if I brought it to you? So that way, when I was out, hunting for the next deal, I think in my head like, hey, this buyer, I know that he's already made a profit on this house. If I bring him a similar house at a similar wholesale price, it's probably going to be a good deal. Bring it back to that buyer, like, hey, this is, you can use your comp as in the appraisal for this one, yada yada yada, and it's probably going to work out that way. So that's just the way that I did it to get started, and worked out quite well.
You mean find another deal in Selfish Breath?
I'll add one more thing to that. But if you go out and find your cash buyer, like I said, I don't look at any deal from a wholesaler, but if I met a wholesaler that was just like, I knew that they were looking out for my interests, they weren't trying to send me some BS comps, and they had an idea of what the rehab was going to look for, like I'd buy all the houses that came off of them. But it becomes a waste of time when none of the information that comes to me is accurate, so I don't spend my time on it.
To you guys to go back on it too, have I ever sent you an email that I thought was a good deal, Rob, or am I calling you first?
Hey, call.
I'm literally calling my VIP buyers like Rob and going, hey, look, I've got this deal. This is exactly what you're looking for. Take it or leave it. That's what I tell him to do, is call every single one of our VIP buyers that we know can close, has got the cash, has told us recently that they're still buying, and we're making phone calls. We do the email blast, but that's after we've already exhausted our VIP buyers list.
So you're buying off the email, you're not getting a good deal.
If you can make good relationships with a few really good cash buyers, I mean, you will be set. That's the way I always like to do it, because there's nothing like repeat buyers.
You need 5, maybe 10.
You could even do it with 2 or 3,
Seriously.
honestly. But yeah, I mean, and that's the way I always like to do it. I've for my entire wholesaling career, I don't think I've ever had a buyer off one of my email blasts. I've had a bunch of like bullshit people interested in it, offering me like 50 grand less than what I'm asking, but I should say I don't have the best buyers list, but I do have really good relationships with a few buyers.
Yeah, sometimes I've had happen is I'll send an email blast out and I'll get a VIP buyer, call them, and they'll say, oh, I want that house. I'm like, I had no idea to even want this shithole, you know? And then, yeah, they close the next day kind of thing, and boom, done.
And that's the nice thing. So with VIP buyers, with people that you know, like, and trust, and it's a reciprocated relationship, I've done many deals where I call the buyer and I say, hey, I don't have this under contract yet, and if you go around me, I'm going to kill you. But would you be a buyer for this property if I can get it to you for X amount? So if I can get it to you for, say, 100K, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, I'd buy that all day long. Then I go back to the seller and I was like, hey, you know, I can offer you 20K for it. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, make your split and reverse engineer the deal that way. Because when you have those good relationships, you can do that, and people won't go behind your back. I've never actually had a buyer ever go behind my back. I've lost a deal once because I didn't put down earnest money. Stupid mistake. And I ended up, the guy that I had it sold to, I gave him all the seller's information. I said, hey, if you can lock this up with him, buy it directly from him, just kick me something on the side. I made substantially less, I learned my lesson, but I still got something from that deal, and we still got it done. And at the end of the day, I had a smile on my face because the seller was such a jerk off to me when he learned my earnest money wasn't down. But at the end of the day, I still felt like I technically closed it because I put it together. He just didn't know that.
Do you feel or do you notice your conversations with sellers kind of shifting? And if so, how are you educating them on what's going on and what might happen down the road?
So most sellers still think they're sitting on gold, and you kind of got to educate them a little bit without telling them, let it be their idea. So it's just like, it's like you know, we just had 2 of the largest rate hikes we've had in 30 plus years. Like, how do you think that's affected the market? And then say, you know, we have the pleasure of, we have the ability to buy 8 to 10 houses a month, and you know, we haven't had to lower our prices in several years, and we're having to do price cuts on our own properties.
Right.
And just kind of like educating them without going, the market's going down, you know, it's not going to serve you well to hold on and try to squeeze this last 2 or 3% out of the house. Like, if you truly want to sell, it's sell.
Yeah.
There goes the follow-up. Like, that's what you're gonna have to do, a lot of follow-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the conversation that I've found the most success with over the years with the sellers, no matter if the market's going up, down, or sideways, I always like to ask them up front, you know, is this something that you're looking for top dollar for? Because if you are, a realtor is going to be the best idea for it. Mm-hmm. If you're comfortable with doing a quick closing and you would like to trade some of your equity and not get top dollar, then I'm going to be your guy for that. I just straight up tell them that. So I have found the most success with deals over the years with people that even if the market was hot, it wasn't even really something brought up in conversation. Now, if they, you know, say the market's hot or whatnot, or if they're trying to pitch me on how great their house is, I tend to be like, you know, you could be totally right, and I want you to get top dollar, just hire a realtor for this. I've been saying that so much lately. And then if they go back and say, well, no, what's your offer? And be like, well, why don't you just put it on the market, man? You can really see where all the buyers are at.
Push away.
Push away all day long, because you don't want to deal with sellers that are just in it for the highest amount. You know, let some other wholesaler let them down. Some people call it low-hanging fruit, and I call it the people I can help out the most. You know, I'll give you an example. The house in Auburndale that I bought, the conversation with the seller like a month ago was, this guy was just like, my house is in foreclosure, I'm gonna lose it, I know I waited too long, I could have put it on the market, but I've been putting it off. He's like, I know that a neighbor's house, the exact same house, same square footage, sold for $280. He's like, I just want like $215 for mine. He's like, I want you to make the money on it. And I was just like, okay.
Am I on camera? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you sure? Like, are you 100% sure? Because what you're saying, like, you know, I was like, are you still gonna walk away with like some money on this? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I'll be okay. He's like, I'll have enough to. He wanted a certain amount of money so he could pay for his back surgery, but mentally he was done with the property. He'd already moved out of it and had it professionally cleaned. It was incredible. It was the best property I've ever bought. If I could get 100 like these a month, I'd be set. But I mean, that's the level of motivation that, you know, you want these distressed sellers to have. And I came in, rescued him, and you know, stuff's paid off now. I just have to deal with foreclosure anymore. So yeah, that's where it's at. But yeah, whenever a seller starts saying like, oh, the market's this or that, I'm just like, next. I don't say that to them.
Last question. Yeah. What type of margins are you looking for in the wholesale deals before you pitch it to your buyers?
Why does everyone look at me?
Not wholesaling.
All right, so we should probably clarify this. If I'm wholesaling versus wholetailing, and wholesaling is just not putting it on the market, either assigning it or double closing it. I'd like to make like 60 grand on the deal. That's just personally where I'm at. I mean, I'm okay if it's like 15 grand, cool. Sometimes if it's 5 grand, that's fine, but like ideally I aim for like 60 on every deal I do. I don't do a lot of deals, but I do high margin deals. Yeah, if it's a wholesale deal.
What's the price point on that? I mean, because these people are, they're thinking 60 grand, I'm buying a house for 240, I got to sell for 300.
No, I like to buy the cheap stuff, man. Like if it's in a good neighborhood, I'll spend money on it. But I really like to have the purchase price around like the A to B purchase price, me to the seller, like around like 140, 150. I like the cheap stuff right now, and then stuff that I can sell for like 200, 210, quick flip, and then they can throw it on the market for 300,000. I like the ARV to be around 300,000. I just like the cheap stuff right now, just because of the stage of the market that we're in.
And then what's wholesaling?
This microphone's really deaf to me. Wholetailing is when it's like the house it's the Auburndale example of a house. So I buy the house, I either clean it out or just do like a quick carpet and paint, throw it on the market and sell it to an end retail buyer who will likely either move into it, or you can also sell it to the highest and best fix and flipper. I like doing wholetailing for the most part, just because the MLS is always the best buyers list in my opinion.
Lipstick remodel.
Yes.
But going into this shift, I think the lipstick remodels have to stop. You've got to do quality rehab, stage, professional photos.
You got to stand out now. The market's not going to just do what it used to 100% doing.
Or if you are going to do a lipstick deal, you got to have like the best priced house in the neighborhood by a long shot. Like that Auburndale house, like I had to, when I was pitching it to my private lender, I was like, we're going to list this for $50,000 less than the next listed house. I want every buyer's agent to be telling their buyers this is the most amazing deal we've seen, so everyone flocks to the house.
Last question.
Sorry, Greg. Thank
You're
you.
fine.
Top sources for direct seller leads. Where are you finding your deals right now? Keep them working?
Kind of starting to dial back. We've had some VAs calling, texting, not a big fan of the outbound, just longer cash conversion cycle. We got some social media marketing going with one company, doing some pay per lead. Right now I'm just being super conservative on the marketing, just to see what the market does, but again, probably more of a...
Betters are dead, don't worry about it, just, we got a little mic over, you're fine.
Tangi Cousins, are you still in the room?
Nope, she's gone.
Oh, she left. She sells some really great data. Eviction list, probate list, follow-up list.
Like the last 3 you closed, where they come from?
Last 3 I closed. Realtor referral, Tangi's foreclosure list, and then JV referral before that. So referrals too. Those are good.
Good enough for me. Thanks.
We're done. All right, guys, thank you guys for coming out tonight. Give these guys a round of applause. Come back next week or next month for David Richter. It's gonna be an awesome one. You're good. No. Oh, don't worry about it. I think she's already gone. We're just joined for 1 years. Same brother, man. I'm not trying to get rich off you guys. I'm trying to give back to you guys. But it does cost money to put these things on.
Any questions? Okay, cool. So yeah, I can email you right now. That wants something on your website.
You know what? My tolerance level is so different. January. I used to talk together.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a conversation. I think the risk is that crazy. Started with like Greg was saying, financing. It's like gas money. They're buying out for like when it's yeah. Oh, or you get like money or get issues. I bought a lot of houses. That's the money to bring it back. You borrow money on something, you borrow the rehab because
be super transparent. Whenever I live there, they go into my brother's sister's someone died. Oh yeah, I thought that was you. Okay, yeah. And they're just like, well, this is not really you can see the game way up there. It's like, big game. The last 5%, it's always like, hey, this is not much bigger than what I got first. It's like, even if it's a great price, it's like, hey, let me change this.
I'm not buying it right now. I didn't want to take it out. I said I'd fucking eat them essentially. That's what I said. I didn't say, yeah, I spent last bit on renting to people. I don't have the share of buying a house going out. But I'm kind of just that is what just happened. But I don't really that. Now it's like, don't worry. It was like so all the house in the area. Now the area is nice. My house is working out well equity-wise. It's been kind of crazy. So he asked me the best question of the whole time. He was like, "Are you sovereign?" I was like, "No." But anyways, on the lending side, so we cover our questions like next. We have I've been through one deal where I was in second round. I get paid off. Thank God I didn't get paid off. Now I've never, that was my only private loan that went bad. I wasn't too worried about it. It was still bad. We used to live in directly them, so we duck into smaller properties. So maybe that's we can get the rents out of reset. I mean, don't do that now. That's a weird one time, I remember that when she was just the Airbnb at 75% when it's actually repaired. It's blowing off the price of repairs. They're going to clear out and I got into it that so I still told her if it was a smaller price house, so if it's exactly what I'm raising, you're going to be something like 30. just sell it, just make sure it's in the because that's how I sell it. There's a number of text me. That's how I met Greg. I had extra money for what I was doing. I started lending it into great I don't want to go to the house, put it down, and money on the house. Math is good after that. But I'm not messing with it. All get messed up. Don't spend like 20 grand on something. It's going to rob you. You're better off putting 20 grand down on the house. I know.
Straight cash, money. Straight cash.
I don't like the risk of it. Profit. Like, sometimes risky, it's got to make some money. Yeah, to me, like, that is less risk, right? Because you're here's your terms on our agreement. Like, if family just have a house, it's not my responsibility. I am going to put cameras on the outside of the house, and that's a mitigant, right? But being conscious of profit. That's the way a lot of people get in trouble. Not conscious of make as much money as fast as they can, and then they can't. Even the upcoming isn't necessarily a service coverage. I should have bought houses down payments on houses and they wind up upside down. They got renovated and now they have this mortgage that they the rent of the water between I not pay that, right? So they might go like get a higher rent now when you get more things up in your money, you stuff, you say, hey, this is what house is not your right. Now you're making money in a couple of years now, maybe cash tight. Okay, sell the house with it. You're bringing your own stuff to make the house pretty nice. You're making your money on the back. Oh yeah, no, I agree. I'm really good at that. Make sure that I don't know what your day-to-day, every day is like right now. Right now. Very I mean, the idea of going in real estate investing is very exciting. Sometimes people as well, I don't know where I'm saying good or bad, it's like making decisions, right? I was always find a person investing in their deals. Actually, what I would do if I had 200 grand, randomly what you were saying, I'd invest in a good deal and I would invest in it. But, if you partner with a person on a deal and they're not a creditor, debtor, lost all your money because they scammed you, you know, you have issues getting paid off, whatever, like everyone's like, that's how I found Greg. He knows stuff all the time. So if you're more passive, just let me know. I run real estate business. Everyone has fun. They make 7%. It's my money. Not crazy. That's how I do a lot of that. And we're doing like 8.6 like returns on our fund this year. That's bad. So like take 8.6 divide it out for 7. So it's like 100 grand. Make about $86,000. But it's broken up to I basically put down the dollars right now. How good it is. Interest to collect on clothes. That's not going to be the capital. That's where you want to take the money you made from the deals and then go flip that with that money so you can grow. It's a different thing, not at first. You want to take the money you're making from whatever you start, take that money and start investing stuff like that. I got it. Yeah, this is better stock market because I'm not lending unless somebody's putting down 20-30%. And the deal they're getting it for back. If something goes wrong, I'm good. Our money's safe. Yeah. You might not make millions of percents. That's where you can't make crazy returns on margin people on multifamily. That's good. Like I have a good one. That's a 6 unit. I can get it for $100 million. Negotiate with the seller for financing. You guys got interest rate on it, 43% for the next 4 years, and then the rate is invested in the property. I'm probably going to use some of my own money, my fund's money, and a couple people buy that, and then the people that invest in it on their money, once I get all the rents up in the property, units in the property, it's what the property is worth, net operating. And let's say it doesn't go on down to you're not going to be like, oh, this, yeah, similar, but when you get to the cap rate point, it's really shit. So net operating income is the number, what's this, minus expenses, minus vacancy and questions that haven't happened yet, minus the 50% from capital spending. That's money that you're charging yourself every month for putting on money in the market that you pay. Exactly. It's not really advantage. Somebody said do a cap rate, guess what? They don't have vacancy collection, they don't have capex on there, they don't have those things now, right? But a bank will underwrite it based on the net operating income. Net operating income is what business is having. If I know within 6 months I can have this person charging way better than NOI than it is now. I know it's going to bring some more than I'm paying. I know I can go and easily go that. I can go make up 16. Yeah. You can FHA 1 to 4 units.
The more we can get, the better.
Give it FHA to the property, 16 then it might. So what you are is you're a non-occupant. So I don't know if you can be a non-occupant FHA's owner occupied. Not legal. 100% illegal. I know this because I own a mortgage company. And I had 2 people call me and stuff like this, and I couldn't do it. So that's why I work 100% in the investor loan. It doesn't matter. It's pretty fucking simple. You're not going to live in the house. If you are not living in the house, nice to see you. Thank you. Are you going to live in the house? No. And let me tell you this, different people have different types of brains. Super analytical grading. Super analytical down to the numbers, like scientists. Right? So it might work out for you. There you go. Just put your right expenditures. I'm like, I don't want to make $200 a look more deals. Everyone's, yeah, that's all that. But back to that own mortgage company, I think you're probably trying to, like, they're like, oh, I'm going to refinance my VA house in another VA.
Which guy?
I want to convince you on this to go get a VA. I'm like, yo, you even live in this house anymore? It's not going to take a VA. So that's why I'm like, there's too much fraud in the business. I'm like, I'm out. Only non-occupant. I'll lend your business to you. Just ask anything. is, you want to borrow money from this? Yes. They're different businesses. That's why. You can go conventional on time. The only thing that if you're not down it's gonna have to solve your I don't know. Telling you the guy. And I'm like super black and white on this stuff. I'd rather that's me. Just learn the guidelines first. That way, on the property, that's what you Yes, nice to meet you. Yes, nice to meet you. Fist bump. You have my number if you guys want to text me. I don't answer right away. Thanks a lot. Yeah, if you need anything, let me know.
It was tough because a little bit. It's like pulling teeth to get them tied. I just got working on so yeah. Yeah, what's wrong? I'll tell you. But I don't know if you remember the first TBREIA meeting I met I did for my birthday. I had my grandma used to just a great You had a lot more knowledge. Butterscotch, marshmallows, chocolate. Your marketing is like this. I got used to this. I'm bringing this home. I use this in my house. Yeah, just right now, it's sweating through the neck. It looks like right now.